All right, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Brian Levinson, and I'm joined today by my teammate Keith Vidal. We'll start out with maybe just really quick bit of logistics, what to expect, some introductions by Keith and myself, and then we'll jump right into open question and answer, have a bit of a conversation. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll find a Q&A panel where you can submit questions either anonymously or using your name. They will appear once approved, and you can upvote or downvote, or actually just upvote using the thumbs up icon. And then Keith and I will answer your questions, have a little bit of a conversation. We'll kind of interview each other as we go, jump into various topics and let the conversation go where you lead us. Just a couple of quick reminders. The session will be recorded. Please don't spam the chat. There are the two of us reading the questions, answering them verbally, and managing the presentation. And we do want to be respectful and adhere to the code of conduct. So please respect your fellow attendees as well as the presenters. With that, Keith, do you want to maybe just quickly introduce yourself and your role within the commercial marketplace team?
Great. Thank you. Hey, everybody, super happy to join you virtually. Our first virtual build. Thanks for making time for us. I've been working in the commercial marketplace space now for about 5 years in Microsoft, and have been in a number of different roles. I've been facing partners from what was the DX org that became the OCP group, and now work on the marketplace products house. So really happy to be working with the RAD team and working on readiness and making sure that we've got a tight capability and message for folks in the marketplace. And I think I see we're already getting questions. So Brian, maybe we'll let you intro as well, and then we'll start to answer some of those questions.
Perfect. My name is Brian Levinson. I'm also on the commercial marketplace release and delivery team here within the cloud and AI division. I've been at Microsoft for about 11 years, starting as a technical account manager, working with large enterprise organizations using Microsoft's cloud services in the very early days, around 2009. Moving then into office product marketing, and then more recently joining the commercial marketplace team, where, like Keith, we work on release and delivery, enablement. We do a lot of webinars, community engagement, and serve as subject matter experts on Microsoft's commercial marketplace. And some of the questions that we've started to see really align with what is this commercial marketplace. And so maybe we'll just start out with a really brief overview of this commercial marketplace, which allows Microsoft partners to create product offerings available through Microsoft sales channels to Microsoft customers and your shared customers. As you develop on top of Azure, you build solutions that integrate with Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, the Power Platform. You can actually then create those offers within Microsoft's product catalog, sitting on our commerce platform to be sold through our web stores, the Azure Marketplace, Microsoft AppSource, in-product experiences, as well as through the Cloud Solution Provider Program, the network of 70,000 resellers, as well as the co-sell program with Microsoft sales teams, and allows direct deployment into Microsoft's cloud services, integration with Microsoft's cloud services as well, and then consolidated billing with a customer's normal procurement relationship, as well as then their standard Azure bill. And that led to the very first question here. Hey, Keith, why two marketplaces? It necessitates two separate registrations of the offering. So why Azure Marketplace and Microsoft AppSource?
That's a great question. Thanks for whomever put that in the chat. Yeah, we talk about this quite a bit, but let me hopefully demystify a little bit. There is only one marketplace. We do have two distinct storefronts, and we use the two storefronts to serve two different audiences. At a kind of high level, we've got two sort of broad constituencies of users that are using the marketplace. We've got one group that are very kind of business app user, very productivity app focused. Think anything from an office add-in to a supply chain analysis sort of tool to a retail sort of inventory capability. And think about those as sort of business apps. Think about that really aligning to the AppSource model, the AppSource storefront, where that's a business app, business user focused storefront. And then think of the Azure Marketplace as being really focused on the IT pro, the cloud developer. So that IT pro, that cloud developer is looking to find, try, buy building blocks that are going to be used to go and drive and sort of fuel their Azure development work. So what we end up with is really two different types of use cases for two different types of users, all through the same marketplace publishing engine. So I want to be clear that even though you've got two different acquisition points, AppSource and Azure Marketplace, you've actually got one place to publish. So if you're a publisher out there, you're actually not having to create separate orders. You do have the flexibility to create orders that either user. And in the case that we see an application that may be sort of really suited to an IT user or an IT sort of administrator, but it's also kind of a business application. I think about things like a cloud cost controller as an example. We will publish those in both marketplaces on your behalf. So at a high level, really leave with one marketplace engine, one publishing machine, and two references for two different groups of users. Brian, anything you want to add?
No, I think you did articulate it very well in terms of those two storefronts. And there really are multiple sales channels and engagement points where a customer, whether you're a Microsoft partner, your customers can find the product, or if you're a customer, where you can find the solutions that you're looking for. Those two web stores really are based by audience, but there's also the deployment path. Anything that deploys into an Azure tenant will need to be an Azure Marketplace. Anything that deploys and integrates into Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, or the Power Platform will need to be in Microsoft AppSource. And then there's the in-product experiences. If I open up Microsoft Teams and I open up a Teams channel and I click that plus button, I'm now in a curated view of AppSource that's specific to those Teams apps. If I go into Microsoft Word and I go in the File menu and I click Get Add-ins, that's also a curated view of Microsoft AppSource, again, specifically for Microsoft Word in that scenario. So that's really why we have these two storefronts, is based on the solutions that you're looking for or that your customer is looking for, as well as the deployment path directly into the appropriate cloud service. I see a couple of other questions here about a few different offer types. Keith, let's talk a little bit about managed apps. Managed applications are built using an ARM template, ARM being Azure Resource Manager. And there are two types of Azure applications that use these ARM templates. There's a solution template that deploys directly into a customer or your Azure subscription. It spins up all the right resources, which is usually multiple VMs, maybe network, database, storage, etc. And then there's the managed application, which does the same thing, except that the ISV or the provider maintains access to then manage that application. So the different scenarios here is that software as a service runs within an ISV's infrastructure. An Azure application runs within a customer's infrastructure, and the customer pays for that Azure consumption. With a solution template, spins up and good to go. With a managed app, it spins up, but the ISV maintains access to manage, support, upgrade it. And so the specific question here related to managed apps is it possible to include a SaaS application with a managed app? So Keith, the question for you is both tactically, is that possible? And when you look at these type of a hybrid scenario, is there any best practices or learnings that you can share?
Yeah, let me get on camera with you here, trying to use this new Teams app. Yeah, it's a great question. What's interesting about the managed app is that in a lot of ways, you have the flexibility of, to Brian's point, SaaS, but within the customer tenant. So it's almost like SaaS as a publisher, you can kind of administrate and control as you would normally control SaaS, but really within the customer's tenant. So the customer gets sort of full control over much of the infrastructure while you control the policy or access, how that's when they access. So could you use SaaS as a, I don't know that you would, is my restriction, but it may require a more depth conversation. We've got two offer types I think that kind of speak to that model, the managed app, and I think we'll talk about this more, but there's also the SaaS app. The SaaS app is for your host infrastructure, the traditional platform type of application that is, I'm going to go off camera for a second, I'm getting some errors. Sorry about that. is the SaaS app is really for sort of partner hosted external platform with a number of different sort of software as a service billing options enabled by that offer type. So I think my initial reaction is I think managed app is a great way to deploy infrastructure into your customer's tenant, run that on their behalf. The SaaS app offer type is really built for sure that you can sort of price, deliver sort of traditional software as a service offers through the marketplace. Anything you can add to that, Brian?
No, I think you hit it very well. And I do agree. We're getting a little bit of, or I'm getting a little bit of breaking up for you. So if you want to turn off your video, that might help with the bandwidth there.
Yeah.
There was a question, and I was answering this one here in IM or in the Q&A panel related to publishing a Microsoft Teams app that has an Azure backend. And this is a great question that actually ties into two different aspects related to Teams apps. The first is within Partner Center, and Partner Center being the place where a Microsoft partner goes to manage your relationship with Microsoft. And it's within here that you create and manage your offerings for the commercial marketplace. What you would do is you would create a Teams app within Partner Center. There's an Office Store program. You go into programs and activate that. And that's where you can publish that Teams app. We relatively recently changed our strategy around monetizing the Microsoft 365 offer types, such that the Teams app will not have a price. It will be free for a customer to download, install, activate. But then for that Azure backend, you would also publish a SaaS app, or rather, let me break it apart. It can also just run as an Azure backend, totally up to you. The SaaS app aspect, though, allows you to then monetize it, and you would publish that separately. And you can monetize the SaaS app, bill on a subscription basis per user or on a flat rate, or even using the metering service. You can monetize really whatever aspect of the solution that you want. And then you can tie them together such that the customer downloads, installs, activates that Teams app automatically or for free. And then the SaaS solution is how it's monetized. And those would be two separate offers, although we are working on functionality to tie them together for a unified deployment experience. And when I'm able to do so without disrupting the screen sharing, I can share documentation on that specific topic.
That's great, Brian. We got another question that's coming in. If we could go and
Perfect.
jump on from Niels. Where Niels is from, but thanks, Niels, for your question. Your question is: I played around with the SaaS app and the mock APIs, and effectively you're looking for guidance around how to test. You're looking for test licenses, as an example, to help and complete the process. It's a great question, and it's a very common theme. What we've seen publishers be really successful with is the idea of sort of low-priced $1, 1 penny types of offers that are tested really from an end-to-end production sort of level perspective, and that enables you to kind of see the process unfold sort of in real time. You don't have to go live with the offer. You can do a lot of the offer by just a lot of the offer testing, most of the offer testing, actually all of the offer testing, by just using the preview feature. So I'll try to add in a note on the documentation around this, but the preview feature is going to be your buddy in terms of being able to kind of emulate and test for that testing that you're doing. Just bear in mind, it is live. It is in production. If you do go live with that, that would be open to the world. You can always pull it back, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if you made a mistake there. But as long as you use that preview feature, you'll get sort of all the benefits of good production end-to-end test. Pause on that, Brian. I think I answered these questions. Back over to you to pull a question out of the chat.
Yeah, I'm looking through a couple of these, and I see some questions about transactions and payouts. And so let's just maybe provide a little bit of a high-level overview of how this works. The Microsoft's commercial marketplace operates on an agency model. And so this means that you, as the Microsoft partner creating the offering in our commercial marketplace, decide the customer terms of use as well as the price. Microsoft is responsible for billing, collections, payouts, and in about 50 to 60 countries out of the 141 that are available, we'll also manage taxes. We will remit taxes on your behalf. We support 17 different currencies. So to summarize that, you can publish offerings to be available to customers in 141 geos. 50 to 60 of those, we manage and remit taxes on your behalf. You define the terms of use as well as the price. Microsoft bills, collects, processes those payouts for you. And there is a transaction fee. So a percentage, a relatively small percentage of the purchase price that the customer pays to Microsoft is held for operations, innovation, as well as the marketplace rewards benefits. And then we pay it out to you. And this happens on a regular basis. We pay out once a month, as long as there's at least $50 of eligible payouts. We'll pay it out to you generally via wire transfer or bank EFT, electronic funds transfer. But in some countries, we also support PayPal. All of this is also documented, and we'll make sure to point to that documentation should you want to follow up and learn a bit more. And the payouts happen on one of two schedules. The difference being whether the customer is paying using a credit card, a pay-as-you-go subscription, or has an enterprise agreement and pays via invoicing. This is important to mention for two reasons. One, the customer's procurement agreement, their purchase agreement, is with Microsoft. This means two things. One, you as the software provider, as an ISV, you don't need to go through what can be a really long and painful process particularly with enterprises or government agencies, to be a preferred vendor, to have that relationship set up. There's a pretty good chance Microsoft already has a procurement relationship with the organization. And you get to just piggyback on that agreement we already have in place, whether it's a Microsoft customer agreement or an enterprise agreement. And the customer pays Microsoft according to the payment schedule that they've already set up on that payment type. A couple of nuances. The first is depending on the duration of the subscription that you offer. If you offer an annual plan or a monthly plan, they'll pay upfront for that year or for that month. If it's a consumption-based offer, they pay in arrears at the end of that month. And if it's an enterprise agreement, the customer may pay Microsoft on a much less frequent basis. We negotiate with very large organizations all the time, but something that we've recently changed as of earlier this month is that when a customer pays Microsoft very infrequently, we will still pay you within that quarter. So within that 3-month period, whether or not that aligns with kind of that standard policy, we'll make sure to pay out to you. And this is important because it allows enterprise organizations to pay Microsoft on a schedule that works for a large enterprise, but it also allows you as software companies to receive payments, have that cash flow on a schedule that's relevant for you as a software company. There's a lot more on the payouts documentation, but really at a high level, that's how it works. I think one of the questions was how to be sold in different countries. I mentioned there's 141. And when you create your offering, it's as simple as checking boxes. There's a long list of countries, 141 of them, and a little symbol next to those where we manage and remit taxes on your behalf. And you just check those boxes and either publish initially or republish if you expand the geos, and you'll be available to customers in those countries as defined by the customer's billing address.
That was great, Brian. Let me jump in with, there's a couple of questions that are coming through around Microsoft 365 add-ins and how to commercialize those products to the store. So let me try to, I see 3 or 4 kind of questions out there that range from Microsoft 365 to SharePoint. Let me try to see if I can answer this kind of in one sort of response. So just to recap, the AppSource side storefront of the commercial marketplace is really built for business users and business applications. And as a part of that, there are a number actually already of products that enable the deployment or that commercialize an M365 or D365 or Teams add-in. It's a very common question, which is, you know, hey, Microsoft, when are you going to have a dedicated sort of add-in commercialization model? And we hear the request loud and clear. We're working on a plan to enable that for each line of business. The near-term plan is that we want to encourage users to make as much use out of the SaaS app capability as possible. And again, just to kind of recap what that allows you to do, using a SaaS app, you can sell a subscription-based service. The artifact that actually gets deployed, the add-in specifically, and how that gets deployed is handled kind of outside of the bounds of the marketplace. So the idea is that as a user, I can go buy effectively what accrues to a license and starts me down the acquisition experience of said add-in using the SaaS app. I go into the AppSource storefront. I go pick the Microsoft 365 sort of product of choice. I complete the purchase process, which includes me signing up for a subscription to a publisher's third-party service. And then at the end of that, publishers generally will instruct the user at the end of the experience, once the marketplace sort of purchase is complete, the publisher instructs the user on how to actually deploy the add-in. So that is the sort of near-term guidance that we're sharing around how to monetize and commercialize any kind of add-in, right? SharePoint, Office 365, M365, Dynamics. And please keep checking back with us on another response thread. I added our link to our marketplace roadmap. So I'll ask you to number one, go investigate that SaaS app for your use and keep us posted via the links that Brian shared in terms of our technical communities, where Brian and I kind of live and answer questions as much as possible. Keep us posted on what works for you and continue to share your feedback around what you would like to see in terms of an add-in. So I'll pause there. Brian, feel free to add on to that. Otherwise, we can go grab another question.
No, I think that was a great answer. There is one that I see here that I'd love to kind of call out because I think it will be relevant in many different scenarios. And the question here is, can you give insight into the top changes by publishing via Partner Center now? And this is a good kind of broad question in terms of some of the recent changes and migrations that we've done from various publishing portals into the Partner Center experience. Prior to actually just this month. Prior to this month, we had Cello Dashboard for the Microsoft 365 offer types. We had Cloud Partner Portal for Azure and Dynamics 365 offer types. We had OCP, and still have OCP GTM for the co-sell offers and assets, and a whole bunch of other systems and tools, things like MPN, Partner Sales Connect, partner.microsoft.com, all types of different places that Microsoft partners had to go to either create offerings or co-sell with Microsoft. These are all consolidating into Partner Center. So there's a lot we could talk about here when it comes to the co-sell process, referrals, et cetera. But very specifically looking at the publishing process for offers and into the commercial marketplace, the primary changes are really around the channels available to you through which you can sell, as well as the ability to more effectively self-service, which is better said as the empowerment to manage your offerings directly. So within Partner Center, when you create your offer, and it does depend on offer type, we're currently migrating OCP GTM as we speak. So again, it depends on the offer type, but you create a single offer, one set of metadata for commercial terms, and all of those details, all of the marketing material that a customer would review to fall in love with your product. But then you also create the assets that you would want a Microsoft sales team to see. Separately, you might create assets that a reseller should see. And so by creating the single offer and configuring it for the various channels, you manage just a single resource, or really that single asset through a single pane of glass that can then show up in these different experiences depending on the audience. I mean, that's a really powerful kind of nirvana state that we've started to reach as it becomes possible for Microsoft partners to publish offerings into Microsoft's product catalog. And we really bring parity between the third-party offerings and first-party offerings, as we've been talking about for probably years, but have really just kind of achieved that nirvana state there.
That's great, Brian. Hey, let me jump in on a good question I saw from, looks like Aaron. who's asking about some real specific Azure Marketplace configuration guidance. So Aaron, great question. Let me just kind of read it out. The Azure Marketplace offers an initial configuration experience, and then you go on to ask, how do you think about sort of application level configuration? Number one. Number two, how do you think about sort of post provisioning operational management? I think it's an excellent question. I mean, and I will go so far as to say that I think from a marketplace perspective, I think we really think about, and this is on the Azure Marketplace side of the house. I mean, just to go back, and Brian mentioned earlier, Azure Marketplace, the general use of that when you're thinking about virtual machine offers or Azure Resource Manager based Azure application offers, is that the marketplace is deploying artifacts into the customer subscription. And it's very much a day zero kind of provisioning activity. And that's really kind of where the marketplace focuses. Day zero, initial provisioning of software. I'll also take time to sort of mention that the Azure Marketplace catalog can be accessed not just through AzureMarketplace.com, but through the Microsoft portal. So if you're at the Microsoft portal for Azure, you can go into the search box and type in Marketplace, and the entire catalog will sort of present itself. The entire catalog of deployable or transactable offerings tends to be a lot of VMs, software as a service, Azure application-based offers. All of those offers, back to the original question, are really structured to be an initial provisioning event. The ongoing management of those resources that are out there is a great thing to think about, and there are many flavors of options that are out there. Obviously, we offer Azure Resource Manager, and you can script your way to glory with JSON to go and manage those resources. There are a number of excellent partner solutions out there as well. In terms of infrastructure management, I think about a Chef, a HashiCorp as examples. Red Hat. There are so many sort of choices out there depending on what kind of a resource you're going to sort of administrate, whether it's a virtual machine or a container or a services-based resource. So I think, just to sort of recap, we really think about Marketplace as initial provisioning, kind of day zero, the ongoing management configuration of those assets. Beyond that, the initial provisioning, a wealth of solutions out there probably outstrip the capabilities of Marketplace. That's just kind of not where our sort of focus area is. But what we do focus on is making sure that we've got a healthy selection of tools to be able to use as you sort of manage your operations. And if there's more that you'd like to talk about there, please hit us up. We've got a group of category managers out there that focus on solutions around this area. We would love to tie you up with if you engage us through the Marketplace technical community. So Brian, back over to you to pick out a question out of the chat.
Awesome, thank you. And we are approaching the top of the hour. So I'm going to just put this up here. We always appreciate feedback, good, bad, ugly. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, but we do want to know what we can do to improve. And then also importantly, that link down at the bottom to the detailed documentation on all the different offer types, how to publish them, how to get started in Partner Center. And we did mention this early. We are active in the Microsoft partner community. We are at the top of the hour. Let's close it out there. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate all the questions. We will do our best to answer as many of them as possible. We have another session just like this scheduled for later in the week, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Microsoft Build.
Thank you.